USC is going to need the young guys to step up because Lincoln Riley went to the transfer portal less than we're used to seeing.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone, and welcome to Locked On USC, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. By the way, did you know that the Locked On Podcast Network is the #1 sports podcast network? So whether you're watching the show on YouTube, wherever you want to download this podcast, you pick the platform. This show is free. This show always appreciates your support. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. When you major in high school recruiting and you minor in the transfer portal, you're making an executive decision. We're going to throw the young players out there. We're throwing them into the fire. We're going to accept the results. Whatever they end up being, it is what it is. So I talked about this on yesterday's episode of Locked On USC, Marvin. The reason why USC did not grab an offensive lineman out of the portal is because they feel really, really, really good about what they have returning in the room, not to mention the guys they're bringing in the 2026 class. So I think the same can be said across the board, regardless of position group. Everyone is already assuming that guys like Mark Bowman, Luke Wafle, they're going to see the field in 2026. However, I'm not sure how many thought they'd be considered integral parts of the rotation right out of the gate. And I think that might be the case, especially at tight end. So the transfer portal, it closes in a day. Depending on when you're watching this episode, within 24 hours or so. And unless Chad Bowden and Lincoln Riley are planning to go on a spending spree binge, these transfer class is done. It's over. Maybe one more addition at tight end, but that's it. So the roster is all set. Let's just assume the roster is done. We know who's here, who's coming. MVP 3, my man. Welcome back to the show. Which positions can a true freshman come in and just dominate, or at least look like, you know what, we belong on the field, we're part of the 2 deep? Which positions are easiest to make that transition from high school to college?
In regards to easiest, I would probably have to say running back, to be honest with you. Running back, I've seen guys, listen, I saw Travis Claridge come in and play as a freshman. I saw Carson Palmer, I played with Carson. He came in, he played as a freshman. Dalen McCutcheon played as a freshman. Chris Claiborne played as a freshman. These are guys that I played with. So, I've seen it at DB. I've seen it at linebacker. I've seen it at offensive line. I've seen it at quarterback. To be honest with you, the way that these high school kids are being developed now, and it's year-round football in high school, and the coaching in high school has really gone up. You're seeing you have elite coaches and elite coaching and all these training programs and stuff like that. I know because my kid does it. He does. Marvin Powell IV, look out for him. But, it's one of those things where, these kids coming out of high school just are much more skilled. They're much more skilled. They're playing football between the springs, football and the season in the summer. It's almost year round for them. So I really think at any position, a kid can come in and have impact. And for us, again, we have 34 guys. We have over 20 blue chip guys. I'm expecting a few guys to come in here and get into rotation. We mentioned them on the last show. Again, you mentioned Luke, Jamie on for sure. And there are others out there. Tom, we'll see what he does. And, I'm really excited about Sean Scott. But I think depending upon the kid's skill level, depending upon, the program he came from, especially if they were in that Trinity League, these guys are being coached at a high level. They are. And they're competing, IMG. These are the best players in the country. It's an all-star team, essentially. And they're practicing against each other every single day. So their skill set's going to be much higher than, somebody who comes out of, Reseda High School in the Valley, So I'm waiting to see. I mean, I have my eye on a few guys, but I'm waiting to see which of these guys step up and get in there because, again, I'm expecting quite a few to play.
Well, it seems like they're going to have to play. I go back to this, and again, I mentioned it on yesterday's episode. Going into the 2025 season, the big question mark was the offensive line group. Were they going to be able to be good enough? By the end of the year, even with all the injuries they had to contend with, they ended up being probably the best, most consistent group throughout the season. So I have zero issue with what's going to happen there.
Right.
You talked about running back. We're bringing back Wayman Jordan. Jade Mayab is your starter. You got Tanu Kynes at wide receiver. We think we know what we're going to get with Zacharias Williams, who they brought in last year through the transfer portal. So you're looking for 2 or 3 more wide receivers out of this freshman class now to come in and carve out roles for themselves. You got the wide receiver transfer from North Carolina State, Terrell Anderson, really high on that guy. But let's go to the other side of the ball. Well, before we do that, can a tight end, can a Mark Bowman come in and replace the production that you're losing from Lake McCree as well as Walker Lyons? I mean, this is going to be a really young group.
Yeah. The reason why I'm really big on the tight end coming in from Mater Dei is he was the number 1 tight end in the country as a junior. As a junior, he was the number 1 guy overall. And I've watched this guy play. He blocks you would think you're looking at, Tony Baselli out there at the high school level. I mean, he really attacks those defensive ends, those linebackers. He's this guy. I mean, he is aggressive. He plays physical, and you can tell that blocking is something that he takes tremendous pride in, aside from being a big and strong kid. So I think he's going to do well. And then in the pass game, he's a receiver. I mean, he's fluid. He has tremendous hands, tremendous athletic ability. So, Mark Bowman is a kid who absolutely can come in and play day one, I believe. I think that he's been coached up. I think he's been competing against a high level in high school. And, this is a kid who's at all the camps and, Mater Dei, who's a big time, a national program. They're putting those kids in the most competitive situation possible. So, yes, I absolutely believe that a kid like Bowman, for example, is one of the many kids that I expect to see in the mix.
Yeah, I would just hate to see a drop off at that position after USC found a way to really involve all the tight ends, H-backs, into the offense last year. I just want to see that continue. So you've got Carson Tabarachi who's coming back. He's more of an H-back type of role. But after that, I mean, you've got Walter Matthews, who is an athletic freak. They haven't used him yet. And then you're bringing in Mark Bowman, and you're bringing in Josiah Jefferson, the JUCO transfer. Right. So, again, these guys, they're going to have to be ready to play from day one because there's nothing behind these guys. On the other side of the ball. Did USC tap out too soon, or do they have enough on the roster to compete in 2026? And I'm talking specifically about the linebacker group right now. We know we're returning Desmond Stevens. We know we're returning Jaden Walker, Tamir Robinson. You've got Talanoa Ely coming in. He's the headliner. You brought in Devin Bryant from Washington out of the transfer portal. Is that going to be enough to get that room to look like a USC linebacker room?
Yeah. Mark, I was expecting a lot more in the transfer portal on defense, specifically at D-line and linebacker, because I feel like our inside tackles and our linebackers this past year, we didn't get the impact from some of the guys, some of the older guys that we thought we were going to get, to be honest with you. So, this kid out of Washington, he's a local kid from the LA area, I believe. Washington had a good defense this year, and he was in the middle of it. So with that, we get a guy with experience, a guy who plays physical, a guy who plays downhill, and I think he'll have impact for us. But I thought we were going to get a few more guys, to be honest with you, at the linebacker position. Now I feel like we're really dependent upon, Devin Steesman coming back. He has a year experience. That matters. He looked good against TCU. I'll give Desmond that. I thought he was flying around playing physical. I saw we just signed back Tamir Robinson, the kid we got out of Penn State. His play I felt was he had a year of experience at USC and then at Penn State. So he's getting coached up, and we'll see what he does. But, and then with Eric Gentry, obviously he came in, he was highly heralded, big time kid coming in. At least this year, he had some press, and I don't know if his season went the way he wanted it to go. And then at D-line, we brought a couple guys in who, had moments, but we weren't consistent. So I thought we'd be bringing in more guys, to be honest with you. Now, what this tells me is that Lincoln Riley and his staff Feel good about the guys that are coming back that maybe didn't play as much last year. Floyd Bucard, for example. If you saw Jamie Winfield, and I know he'll be a freshman, you don't want to have to count completely on just freshmen, but this kid looks different. I mean, he looks like he's a special player. So I'm excited about that. And then obviously Luke Wafle. But, I thought we'd have more guys. Listen, Lincoln knows what it is. He knows exactly what time it is, year 5. He knows that what our schedule is. He knows where we're going on the road, who's coming to town. And it's going to be tough for us, man. And with that, we have to have guys ready. What he's saying to me for what they haven't done in the portal is they believe in the depth that we had. They believe in the coaching. They believe in the development. And they think these guys are going to transition into being really good players for us this year. So it's a wait and see thing. And again, we don't want to have a DC yet. So we don't even know, what angles and how we're going to be attacking. So it's such a mystery and a big question mark. And I really hate that. But I hate to say that, we have to trust Lincoln. We have to trust, his gut, trust, what he believes in his staff. These are the guys who he wants to retain. These guys are coaching up, the linebackers and D-line. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I was expecting more of a splash, but maybe we got some guys that are ready to go, who are going to be plug and play, who are going to be great additions to what we need. It's hard to tell right now, Mark. We don't know until we see him on the field. So,
and I think that's what the decision they made. Like I said at the top of the show, they're going in with the young guys. They're putting all their, they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, and say, hey, Talanoa Ely, you're wearing number 58. If that's the number you want to wear, get out there, be that linebacker that we've been missing for these last few years. Yeah. Jaden Walker, you're coming back. You're the guy this year. There's no more Eric Gentry in front of you. It's your job to go make it happen. Same thing with Desmond Stevens. Again, everyone, I guess a lot of people are trying to figure out, what is the goal? Are we shooting for 2027? And if you're going to use your young guys in 2026,
no. We're
great.
Mark, I don't want to hear about this 2026. This is it.
Like I said, that's why it seems like inconsistent with what you're trying to do. If you're all in for 2026, you brought back Jaden Mayaba to be the quarterback. You've got the offensive line. You got all that settled. Why wouldn't you make sure you were doing everything possible through the transfer portal to fill those holes? Specifically, an experienced guy at linebacker, big name. Big guy at defensive end, edge rusher. Again, these aren't cheap pieces. I get it. It costs money. But you're either all in or you're not. I mean, you can't just, keep playing the hokey pokey with your feet.
Lincoln said multiple times during the season, in this offseason, that they were going to look at the portal differently, that they weren't going to go in heavy like they have in years past. So, again, when he's saying this, again, what I'm just hearing is he believes in the guys, whether it's Floyd or, Jakeem Stewart. Congratulations on being freshman All-American.
Absolutely.
And some of these freshmen, and we have the transfer coming in. I think it was from Michigan State, I believe he was from.
Yes.
So we'll see, Mark. I mean, I honestly, like I said, I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to be positive about this. Lincoln realized, he knows he's on the hot seat, if you will. And if he feels these are the guys to roll with, all right, here we go. Because, again, what we're waiting to see is, does he really get it? Does he understand the need the way that we see it, the way that we understand? And this is going to this is going to be the season. It's not 2027, Mark. It's 2026 for him.
Okay. You're preaching to the choir on that one. Trust me. No. I'm just kind of pointing out the obvious, and we'll let the fan base decide if this is the best course of action. And at this point, we really don't have a choice because this is what it is. It's going to be this way. So, young guys, go make it happen, because the coaching staff, they have the faith in you. We will as well. And they're bringing in some talented dudes. I mean, you keep mentioning the names. If this is the direction you're going, use them. Don't put them on the bench. Don't spot play them, garbage time. No. Put them in during the game when it matters. If they get burned, they get burned. If they make plays, they end up being Jakeem Stewart and being a freshman All-American. So that's how you learn. You learn by making mistakes. You don't learn by doing things right.
Well, we made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah,
we made a mistake with the defensive coordinator hire with Alex Grinch, keeping him a year longer. we made a mistake with some of the guys that we brought in. It just didn't really pan out the way he wanted to. So Lincoln's had 4 years to kind of make his mistakes, and and that is what it is. So no, this has to be it. The biggest thing is this though, with the DC, who we don't even know who it's going to be yet. It's one of those things where you would think that the defense would be made maybe around the players. So again, we'll see, Mark. I don't know. I just feel like there's too many questions right now, but I trust Chad. I'm trusting Lincoln. And we're going to find out. We will.
We're going to find out from Marvin about quarterback philosophy. We're going to talk about that in the next segment. And then I got a list of teams that USC should probably consider for that third out-of-conference game. Maybe we'll find out about that before we find out about our defensive coordinator. One of those things has to drop sooner rather than later. That's all coming up next. There is nothing like the college football season. The tailgates, the packed stadiums, being right there in the middle of it all. The energy, the bands, the moments you're going to remember forever. But you know what? Sometimes getting tickets, that part, that's frustrating. The long queues, the logins, the prices, price jumps at checkout, everything. It's horrible trying to buy tickets. That's why Game Time gives you the advantage back to the fans. It is literally the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few taps. You'll love being able to see the view from your seat. You can do that before you check out. That way you know exactly what you're getting. They have these zone deals. They really stand out. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats. You save even more. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, and you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Everyone, thank you again for making Locked On USC your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Okay, Marvin, USC has Jade Mayaba. They've got Jonas Williams, who's going to be the #2 quarterback, de facto #2. He's the incoming guy in the 2026 class. And you got Sam Heward returning, available to play, okay? He got an extra year when he was at San Luis Obispo, so he's returning for another year. Medical redshirt. Here's the thing. If all three of those guys were to go down with injury, knock on wood that doesn't happen, I'm sure we have a walk-on that can come in and hand the ball off 45 times a game, throw the ball just enough to keep the defenses, guessing. In other words, we're going to look like a military academy offense. Mm-hmm. Lincoln Riley brought in Husan Longstreet with the 2025 class. He's now in the he's not even in the transfer portal anymore. He's committed to Lane Kiffin at LSU. They brought in 3 quarterbacks out of the transfer portal, including ASU's Sam Levitt. There's a lot of moving parts going on there. Jonas Williams literally just got to USC a few days ago. He just moved into his new living arrangements, just getting involved with winter conditioning. After that, after Jade Mayaba, which he's not going to be here in 2027, you got Jonas Williams. We don't know. Sam Heward won't be here anymore. So people are starting to wonder, do you even recruit high school quarterbacks anymore? Is it worth it? Because you're investing the time, the practice reps, the money, all that into the future. And Husan Longstreet pulls up and says, bye-bye, going to LSU. Yeah. Is it still important to recruit quarterbacks each cycle?
Yeah, it is. Listen, first of all, you want to build relationships with these guys, especially in the transfer portal era. You want them to be familiar with Lincoln Riley and the university. Listen, until they get these guardrails on the transfer portal, until they learn how to, enforce these contracts and we get some kind of collective bargaining, it's just going to be the wild, wild west. Right now, college football players are running the show. They are running the show. They come and go as they please. They ask for more money whenever they want to. It is what it is. It's crazy, man. But until they really, crack down and make these guys, honor their commitments and get back to more of the traditional form of college that we know, it's just going to be crazy. That can't stop us from going out there and building relationships and trying to get guys in love with USC. So, listen, it's frustrating to have a guy like Husan come to SC, train under Lincoln Riley, get all his secrets and everything else, and then go play for Lane Kiffin, the next year. That's frustrating. That's tough, That's a lot of money out the door and all, and more importantly, time, commitment. I get that, but yeah. But no, I think you still have to recruit the high school guys, man, because the way it is now with these guys, treating like the Wild Wild West, that's not going to last forever, and you want guys in place. I'm hearing that we may get a chance to get Peyton Houston back in the fold. Yeah. We'll see. He's a great kid, 2027 quarterback, somebody who Lincoln's been on for a while, who committed elsewhere.
And so he's really tight with Boobie Feaster. Those guys are like brothers from another mother.
I've heard that. But Mark, yeah, man, you still have to attack the high schools. You still have to get grassroots. You still have to get these kids when they're young and get in their ear and build those relationships. It's everything.
But here's the thing: if you're going, and I don't necessarily disagree with you, because in fact, I agree with you. But if you don't play them right away, they get ants in their pants and they end up transferring. So Indiana's shown, hey, we don't need to develop a quarterback. We could bring in Fernando Mendoza, win the Heisman, go to the national championship game. Miami is just, hey, new year, new quarterback. Let's just bring another one in, go to the playoffs. I mean, even Notre Dame has been doing that. So, again, it's like you have to find that quarterback, but I don't think you can do it 2 years in a row. In other words, I don't think you can get a Hussam Longstreet in 2025, follow it up with a Jonas Williams in 2026, because one of those guys isn't going to stick around. Hussam decided to take his ball and leave first, even though he had the inside track to 2027.
Yeah, but based on the current model, based on how it is right now, that's tough. Again, I think these college coaches are going to get pissed off. I mean, and they are, with the portal already, and just the way these kids can come and go. So I expect change at some point soon. I know the coaches just got together and they created a new rule around the red shirting, but they need to get into the portal. They need to get into the football calendar. This is what they have to attack. So, yeah, it's frustrating right now, Mark. But listen, you got to keep these guys interested in USC, and again, you have to get them when they're young. I think it's really important. I don't expect the way it is now to last forever or for too long. It's not sustainable. It's just not.
No, it's not. It's not sustainable, and neither is the whole paradigm. Well, you know what? Our roster cost $30 million last year. Next year, it's going to cost $45 million. The boosters are going to say, you know what? I'm out of money. Yeah. I gave you money to win a championship last year and the year before that. Win another championship, and maybe I'll find some more money in my couch cushions. Again, you're right. This is not a sustainable model.
Yeah. Again, as we look to reinforce these contracts or make these kids honor the contract, and we look at collective bargaining, I mean, we're going to go to an NFL model. You're going to have probably some type of cap, something like that. Because all the schools are feeling it. Again, you have schools out here spending $40 million on a roster, $45 million on rosters. You can't do that every single year. That's just not sustainable.
Here's the, and again, we're just going down a different rabbit hole. I'll cut it off here, but you've got guys who were paid last year who are now making less than the guys who are coming in after them, who have not played in college yet. And that's not just an isolated incident at one college. That's happening across the board everywhere. You're going to have guys holding out. You're going to have half the team holding out. The other half's like, well, I got paid. I'll play this year.
And again, you can address that in a CBA, but to answer your question, Mark, I do believe that Lincoln needs to continue to recruit these high school quarterbacks, maintain those relationships with these high schools, the coaches, the players. It's important. And, once they get some guardrails here, it'll all make sense to them.
They better figure it out soon because, there's just so much time, money, energy, everything is involved. It seems like the only person who benefits is the player, not the team, not the program, not the coach, nobody else. The bank account. That's the bank account is the only winner in this thing.
And look, I'm all for players getting paid and being able to profit in this situation. It makes complete sense if you understand the reality of the fact that these kids are the reason that the money's even coming in, period, whether it's TV or alumni. It's you have elite kids, people want to see them play. So, all right, I'm with that 100%. I'm even for the portal. I'm for the portal, but we need rules. We need regulations. We have kids out here going to seven different schools in 4 years. That's insane. That's insane.
Basketball's worse than that. So
yeah, and listen, I want to get into the whole education portion of it. You know what I'm saying? Because that has changed, and that's an issue that really isn't being addressed the way it needs to be. I understand that people laugh at the idea of student athlete and the student portion of it, but it's a real thing. Listen, Mark, when I was at USC, I had 2 goals. Now, number 1 goal, get my degree in 4 years. Okay. Number 2 goal, get to the NFL. That was it. That was all I was focused on. And these kids really can't even do that because they're bouncing around schools and can't go to class. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So they got to figure this thing out, and they will.
Well, they're learning in the school of hard knocks, but as long as they're getting paid, I guess that's all that matters. All right, one more segment. Marvin and we're going to talk about USC's third out of conference game. Hasn't been announced yet, but we might have we might have found somebody, a team or 2 or 3 or 4. You guys get to pick. Coming up next. Okay, so Marvin, I did a little bit of research, and these are some Power 5 schools that might have an open date, or they could rearrange their September schedule, so to speak. Stanford. Okay, we're familiar with Stanford. Cal, another program we're familiar with. In fact, I think they have a couple of open dates in September, so that one might work out the best. Stanford, maybe you do a neutral site game with them, maybe do it at SoFi, something like that. What about these 3? Houston, Pittsburgh, Georgia Tech. All 3 of those, you're not stepping down in the whole FCS type of thing. You're not going into, that cupcake city type of environment. You're getting competitive, noteworthy type of games. Obviously, it's not Notre Dame, but it's still going to add to your strength of schedule, strength of record, however they're looking at it now. When you were at USC, did you prefer beating Stanford or Cal more? Which one?
I tell you, I almost went to Cal. Believe it or not, yeah, it was my first recruiting trip, and I was just overwhelmed with all the things that happened on recruiting trips. So they kind of sucked me in with that. I'll leave.
What was it about Berkeley that caught your attention? Because it's a different place. It's like
something. Tony Gonzalez, he was my host, and he was great. Tony was awesome, man. He was real cool. Yeah, he was my host. He did a great job. Just sold me on the academics and sold me on this upcoming football program that they're trying to really build. I mean, listen, USC was in my heart, but again, I'm an 18-year-old kid on a recruiting trip. I'm thinking Johnny Be Good. That's all that's in my head. They're giving me a little bit of Johnny Be Good. So I was feeling it. All right, I was feeling Cal sincerely, but.
Do you remember where he took you when he was hosting? Do you remember where he took you to eat? Did he take to any of the different locations?
It's all a blur. It's all a blur, man. I kid you.
I'm sure he took you to Top Dog, right?
It's all a blur. Look, I think USC fans definitely would love to have that weekender back. Have that Cal game, that Stanford game. It's such a tradition and a rivalry with USC. It's always such a great game. I think they'd love to have that back. I love the idea of playing Houston and Georgia Tech. Why? For recruiting. Houston area, the Atlanta area, prime for phenomenal players. I want to stay in California for the most part, but we need to be able to go to Texas and Georgia and get a few pieces. We've always done that at USC. So for those reasons, for the ability to have kids in the Houston area see USC play, to go to Atlanta where I'm at, so kids in Georgia can see USC play, that's huge. And for those reasons, I would definitely take Houston and Tech serious. I think that the old school, the alums, would rather have Cal and Stanford, and I get that.
I would love to be able to trade Cal and Stanford off every other year as part of the rotation, so they're always in the out-of-conference schedule. Right. But I love the point you just raised about the whole Houston, Atlanta, Georgia thing. Yeah, let's get a bigger footprint in recruiting going on out there, especially that Houston area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you look at where the most NFL players come from, California, Texas, Georgia, and there are others, but I mean those are really the big three. Louisiana has a lot to say about that as well. But no, being able to go to Houston, have Lincoln and his staff there for 2 days, and be able to see high school football on a Friday night, show up on the sideline in Atlanta at a high school game. That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
And listen, and I don't listen. I'm not saying let's plant our flag and make Georgia and Texas the priority. No, California is the priority, specifically Southern California. But California is the priority. But no, there are gems in Texas and gems in Georgia that we can benefit from.
Sure. Like I said, rotate Cal and Stanford every other year onto the out-of-conference schedule, and then do a home and homes thing with either Houston or Georgia Tech or Pitt, home of Tony Dorsett. So I don't know if you want to do the Pittsburgh thing because USC already travels that far enough as it is.
Yeah.
So
listen, PA has a ton of talent. There's a ton of talent in Pennsylvania. There's no doubt about it. But when you look at the traveling that you just said the travel that we already have in place, let's stick with Houston. Let's stick with the weekender, Cal, Stafford. Let's stick with even Atlanta.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. We're getting close. I got to make the announcement sooner rather than later. I mean, just for travel purposes, you're asking people to renew their season tickets. I think they want to know what they're paying for. I would at least. So yeah, I got to make that happen. And I which is going to get announced first? Out of conference game, defensive coordinator. I mean, or is they going to do it on the same day? That would be a nice newsworthy day.
Lincoln Riley's playing chess. That's how I'm looking. He's playing chess, and he has a plan, and they have a plan. So, guys, I'm being optimistic. I'm trying to,
You are optimistic, Marvin. I'm optimistic too. People want to hear what they want to hear. Sometimes the truth hurts a little bit, and they don't, want to bury their head in the sand. But that's not what we're about. We're here to tell the fans what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. We'll tell them what they want to hear when the time's right. But during the offseason, this is all about what you need to hear. What does USC need to do to get back to the mountaintop? To win those championships, to put that smile on Marvin's face that you're looking at right now, to put a smile on my face.
We need a defense.
Play a defense. Exactly.
We're returning all of our linemen, which is great. And we got some depth there. Our quarterback, you guys know what that is already. I'm never worried about USC and receivers. Never in my life have I been worried about USC having receivers. We have plenty of receivers coming back. We got some serious backs who are proven coming back. So, and we got some young tight ends coming in that I really believe in. Listen, another freshman, Antoine Harris, tight end, was there when I was there. Antoine started as a freshman. Okay, he was really good for us. So I'm excited about what we have at tight end as well. Offensively, I don't have any worries. I have no concerns about the offense. We're going to put up points and do what we do. In regards to the first segment, Mark, do we bring enough guys in? Do we bring the right guys in? That's the question. Because it's not about quantity, it's about quality. If we hit on the guys that come in addition to the guys who are coming back, in addition to the guys in the freshman class, we should be all right. And by all right, I'm talking about being able to compete in the playoffs.
If that defensive line can bounce back and become the defensive line we all thought they were going to be last year, and they do it in 2026, because they have definitely improved the talent level. It's deeper. I mean, we're talking a legitimate 2-3 deep across the board now. And we talked about Luke Wafle. We talked about Jimion Winfield. Tom Tapui's coming in. You got Floyd Picard, Jade Abasiri, Jakeem Stewart, Braylon Selden, Cam Crawford.
Yeah.
You got the dudes to make it happen. If those guys can play up to their potential the same way the offensive line found a way to get it done, that linebacker group's going to look a lot better next year, regardless of who's out there. Because if you can't get past the first level, the second level just gets to go in there and clean up. So
listen, it comes down to one word, Mark: attack.
There you go.
Just attack. That's it. Attack. That's it, man. Just attack. So
send in your resume. All right. That is it for this episode, my man. Another great episode, in my opinion. I think everybody's going to enjoy it as well. You'll be back again later this week, probably. Well, get us going for next week. So until that next episode of Locked on USC, everyone, you know what to do.
Fight on, y'all.